What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So I had to cover this, and some people who desperately hate Mayweather and all that he does, you'll immediately dislike this video. So more power to you. Um, I wanted to talk about Floyd Mayweather as a businessman in this video, and I must say that Floyd Mayweather is one hell of a business savvy individual, especially coming up from where he came up, Grand Rapids, having a father that was in and out of jail. Probably not the best influences around him. You know what I mean? Grand Rapids, Michigan, I heard is a tough place, especially back in the day. Flint, Detroit in general, that whole area, the Midwest, there's some pretty tough areas in the Midwest, St. Louis, Detroit, etc., etc. And to come from that, just like all fighters, a lot of fighters come from like impoverished areas and stuff like that. And to take over boxing in the way that Mayweather has, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Even if you don't respect him, you gotta admit he has a work ethic and he makes a lot of business sense and a lot of business decisions that are very beneficial. And not even trying to clown anybody in this video, but if you look at other fighters, they don't have a firm grasp in the bull by the horns in their own careers. Like Manny Pacquiao, I don't doubt that he wants to fight Mayweather, but he's more or less the puppet, and I feel Bob Arum is the Geppetto who's kind of pulling the strings, and what Bob says goes. And Pacquiao at this point still doesn't really have, after all of what he's done for boxing, I don't really feel Pacquiao is in the driver's seat with his own career, which is bad. And it's not just Pacquiao. There's tons of people who fall into that same category. Um, Made a shit ton of money and lost it. They don't have any kind of creative control over their career. And without a doubt, we can honestly say Mayweather has that. So you gotta applaud him for being the businessman that he is. If he says I'm doing the Mayweather poll and Amir Khan wins and he chooses to fight the other guy in the poll that lost accordingly or according to the poll, then that's the decision that's made. Golden Boy didn't say like, "Oh, hey, you said the winner gets it." He did whatever the fuck he wanted, and he proves that time and time again. He comes up late to all these Showtime events, and what are they gonna do? We're dropping you. You know what I mean? We're gonna pay you less. No, he still does what he wants to do. So he just announced the undercard to his fight. Now, to the casual fans, I always feel like I have to separate. There's boxing fans and then there's casual fans. Oftentimes, the boxing fans just want to see good fights, whether it's ESPN Friday Night Fights, if it's like classic legendary fights on the TV, if it's boxing documentaries on HBO, if it's Showtime HBO airing the fight. It doesn't really matter. You'll entertain boxing in general. Then you have casual fans who only surface when it's a big event, when it's a big Canelo versus Angulo or whatever fight card you think is big enough to pull you out of your rat hole. I'm not that type of fan. I like boxing. I watch boxing all the time. I watch old fights to Friday night fights. And some of the fucking bug almost flew in my mouth. Um, some of you guys don't really do that. So, with this being said, the undercard is a solid undercard. You got to realize how much star power is on there. Now, the casual fans are going to see it, and because Broner's not fighting Khan, for example, they're going to be like, whack, this is a weak undercard. But you got to look at the what it takes to put together a card. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I have love for all the networks, but as far as undercards, Golden Boy on their pay-per-view events, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, puts on way better undercards on their big name, big headlining fights than Top Rank in recent memory. You'll watch Pacquiao versus Marquez 4, and I'm like, you had Gamboa, and that fight turned out to be lackluster. They just don't have big ass stars like all on, you know what I mean, on their pay-per-view events. Like you got Mayweather, Maidana, who is gaining popularity after his destruction over Adrian Broner. You have Broner, you have Amir Khan. That's some serious star power. Now let me just explain the undercard. As you guys can see from the picture, you have Mayweather versus Maidana, Amir Khan versus Luis Colazo, Adrian Broner versus Carlos Molina, not the Carlos Molina who's in trouble with the law, who was supposed to fight the Charlo brother. This is the one that fought and lost to Amir Khan. And then you also have Jay Leon Love facing Marco Antonio Parabon. And it's a solid fight card. Like I said, I've seen other fight cards that are less stacked. And again, to the casual fan, you may not appreciate it. You're like, oh, Broner's fighting a bum, you know what I mean? Because you don't know him. So, of course, he's a bum to you. But if you think about it, if you really analyze this as a business move, very, very smart on behalf of Golden Boy and very, very smart on behalf of Floyd Mayweather. Here's why. Main event. You have Mayweather fighting the guy that beat his quote unquote lil bro. Lil bro is Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner refers to Mayweather as his big bro. So it's kind of like I got mopped up by Marcos Maidana. Now I told my big brother. I went home and told my big brother, and now he's going to fight him. So that fight makes sense. Plus, it's a unification bout for both the champion and the challenger, or they're both champions. So for both parties, it's a unification bout. They both have belts. So it makes sense for that reason. And then you have Amir Khan, who won the Mayweather poll, who's been calling out Mayweather for years, and recently he was on Twitter going ballistic because he wanted the Mayweather fight. And he was going up against the opponent that got it, Marcos Maidana, in this Mayweather poll, which turned out to be a farce, and it didn't really matter if Khan won because he didn't get the fight either way. Somehow Mayweather is convinced Khan and his team to still fight on his undercard, even though he got done shady. So that alone shows you what type of power Mayweather has. So he shitted on you by saying the winner of this poll gets to fight me. You won the poll on his official poll, and he still didn't pick you, and you're still fighting on his undercard. That's some power. Because if somebody shitted on me like that, like, hey, you know what I mean, apply for this job, you got it, and then they hire somebody else or whatever, even though they went against what they said, you think I want to do anything else for them or to make them look good or to increase their numbers? Fuck no. So that alone shows you kind of the power behind the Mayweather business vehicle. And again, you have Amir Khan fighting Luis Collazo. Collazo also a guy off an impressive win, so he gained fans for beating Victor Ortiz in the second round and stopping him. There are tons of memes and videos and coverage because Victor Ortiz is more the high-profile fight. Collazo has a very sturdy resume background, whether he won or lost. He has some controversial fights in there. Fought the Ricky Hattons when he was undefeated. He fought Andre Berto when he was undefeated. He fought a veteran, Shane Mosley. And recently, he just stopped Victor Ortiz in 2 rounds. After that Ortiz victory, Collazo called out Mayweather. So not only the Mayweather poll shit with Amir Khan, you got 2 guys fighting each other who have openly stated they want to fight Mayweather in the future. So the winner of this, fighting on the undercard, might feel entitled to, at some point, getting a Mayweather fight if they're victorious in the fight with each other. So as far as Khan and Collazo, you got 2 guys that want to fight Mayweather, so something potential could be built from that, depending on who wins and how they win and what fashion they win. Then you have Adrian Broner, who's allegedly the son of Mayweather, the protege, or whatever you want to call him, in terms of people were comparing and likening his style to Mayweather. He's fighting Carlos Molina. Not a big name, but Carlos Molina is also a guy with a mutual opponent, and that's Amir Khan. Amir Khan beat Carlos Molina. So, that being said, fans have something to assess Broner's performance because a lot of people are talking about Adrian Broner fighting Amir Khan in the future. So depending on how he looks against Carlos Molina, we've already seen how Amir Khan looked against Carlos Molina at 140. Broner's fighting Carlos Molina at 140. And with that mutual opponent, you'll be able to assess and kind of critique. Like, let's say Broner, hypothetically, stopped Carlos Molina in the second round. You'd be like, okay, Amir Khan went more rounds with Carlos Molina than Broner did. So it's going to get people craving a Broner versus Khan fight, especially if Khan's victorious against Luis Collazo, and especially if Broner's victorious against Carlos Molina. So I think it's a lot of pre-planning, kind of low-key, because Broner and Khan, people were talking about that fight being made on the undercard because Mayweather said, I want both of them to fight on my undercard. And people wanted to see Broner and Khan. They both talk shit on Twitter, had a war of words. So it's potentially, if they're both victorious in their fights, it's potentially another fight that could happen, and it'll be a good build-up. And then lastly, you have Jay Leon Love, who is fighting Parabon, who is also a Money Team TMT fighter. So that's giving exposure to Mayweather Promotions and Mayweather's promotional company or whatever, the Money Team, giving your fighter some exposure by letting him fight in your undercard. Plus, Parabon, if you guys remember last year, he fought another Money Team fighter, Badu Jack, and they fought to a draw. So another thing where you have two TMT fighters fighting the same opponent, fans will be able to critique since there's a mutual opponent. Even though Bado Jack just got TKO'd in his last fight, you'll still be able to critique based on Jay Leon Love's performance against Parabon and Bado Jack his performance. So you'll be able to have that compare and contrast type of situation going on because they both fought the same dude. And he's also fought Sakio Bika, who fought Andre Ward. So, I mean, it shows you he has some good experience in there. And he's a Money Team fighter. So everything is kind of full circle and it benefits Mayweather and Golden Boy at the end of the day because there's interesting, charismatic characters with a lot on the line in their respective fights. Broner's in a must-win situation. Fight fans are very fickle. No one wants to see Broner if he loses back-to-back. Amir Khan had shaky performances recently, and he's 2 for 4 in his last fights. So he's kind of in a do-or-die. Luis Collazo, even though he won his last fight, he's still in a do-or-die situation because he's riding the wave of the Victor Ortiz victory. And before that, he was little talked about in the welterweight, so he's trying to keep that alive and keep that fire burning by having an impressive performance. So there's a lot on the line in these particular fights. And then the Jay Leon Love fight is a given because he's a Money Team fighter and you're giving him exposure and trying to groom him to become a world champion with your company, Mayweather Promotion. So I think he's a hell of a business person. Like I said, the casual fan's not going to like this because it's not Broner versus Khan or Broner versus Lucas Matisse, someone you know a little bit more than Carlos Molina. And hey, at the end of the day, people are still going to buy it and they're still going to tune in. I think it makes a lot of business sense for Golden Boy especially. Not to say that I'm saying I'd rather see Broner fight Carlos Molina than anybody else I named, but the fact of the matter is, knowing the scope of boxing and how we live in a disposable society, 2 losses is career defining in boxing. We don't have loyal fans, so Pacquiao got knocked out, and I seen some of the people who were diehard Pactards making fun of him and posting meme videos and pictures of Pacquiao getting knocked out. I'm like, damn, I thought that was your man's. I thought that was your fighter. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is in boxing. People don't stand by. No one wants to be with the losers. People are already writing off Adrian Broner, so he has to regroup after the Maidana destruction. And then the Mayweather Maidana, most people talk shit about it. You still want to watch it because Maidana has that equalizing power, and nobody's willing to, especially the Mayweather haters, no one's willing to miss the chance of Mayweather possibly getting knocked out by a big puncher just because you're so stubborn. You're going to watch it, whether you stream it or whether you buy it. And that's kind of been the Mayweather platform. Whether you love me or you hate me, you still watch me. And it's true. You still watch him. You still feed in. I post a video or Carcino or whoever posts a video. You still watch it and he evokes emotion. Whether you're clicking dislike on my video or Showtime's videos of Mayweather, or if you hate Amir Khan, if you love him, all the players are still intact and they get exposure and they're talked about. Broner posts crazy shit on social networks, and it's an interesting card and a lot of star power on this particular card. So I have no problem with it. Some people do. They're like, oh, Amir Khan fighting Luis Collazo. But I said this in my last video about Amir Khan and Luis Collazo. If you really think about it, Khan beating Collazo at welterweight holds more weight than the fight that some of you guys would rather see, and that's Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner, what the fuck has he done at welterweight? He had a split decision in which he got a title off of Paulie Malignaggi, which was controversial, and a lot of people think Paulie Malignaggi should have won. At the very least, it could have been a draw or it was a close fight. Nobody can say that Broner had a Pacquiao Rios performance where he was just dominant. And then his next fight at welterweight, he defended that title and got scraped up by Marcos Maidana. So At the very least, Luis Collazo is a respected welterweight. Even in his losses, he gave tough fights, which a lot of people thought he should have won against Ricky Hatton when he was undefeated, Andre Berto when he was undefeated, and then he's coming off the Victor Ortiz KO. So to me, a victory over him, despite the stylistic matchup, if you think it's not going to be entertaining or he's too slow or whatever you think, he's done more at welterweight than Adrian Broner has. So Adrian Broner's 1 for 1, in case you guys forgot, at welterweight. So he's done less. So I mean I'm okay with it. Let me know what you guys think of this fight card. Do you hate it? Do you love it? At the end of the day, you got to respect Mayweather as a business person because he makes these decisions, and it really, really makes a lot of sense for the business. And I know we don't always agree with the business side of things, but let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.